Hello, this is Elizabeth Cadenese, and I'm an assistant professor here at Community College of Philadelphia. And Jason Roscoe very generously has let me create this video to get a brief discussion going about the potential connections between mindfulness and academic advising. So many of you may know that I am very interested in mindfulness practice in my English classroom. And with a colleague, I wrote a book about mindfulness, the College Mindfulness Workbook, which many students and many teachers here at CCP use. And as I was doing the academic advising training, I began to think about the intersection between mindfulness practice and academic advising. And I thought it would be really great for those who are willing to give some feedback and some thoughts about how mindfulness could be helpful here at CCP in the academic advising office. So first, just to give a little bit of background, this is the College Mindfulness Workbook. And at the beginning of the workbook, there's a little bit of information about mindfulness that feels helpful just to introduce briefly. And so mindfulness is something that's really popular in our culture right now. There's a lot of adult coloring books, books about stress reduction, books about how to be present in your life. And it's really taken off as sort of an industry at this point. And I think that the reason for that is the amount of stress that people have, particularly Americans, in trying to get some sort of balance in their lives, despite all of that's going on for them and for all of us. So John Kabat-Zinn, who started the mindfulness-based stress reduction program at the University of Massachusetts Medical Center, defines mindfulness as paying attention in a particular way, on purpose, in the present moment, and non-judgmentally. Paying attention in a particular way, on purpose, in the present moment, and non-judgmentally. And some of the questions one can ask about, is one being mindful in the moment? The questions are you being intentional about what you are focused on? Are you rooted in the now, or is your mind thinking about the past or the future? Are you remaining objective, or are you judging your experiences as good or bad? So I would like for people to contemplate about how we as advisors can be more mindful in our academic advising sessions, and then also how we can help our students to be more mindful as well. There's a car alarm that's going off right now. Okay, it stopped. But I think that's very representative of the exact issue. So there's like a lot of noise sometimes that's going on in the sessions when we come into them for ourselves and for our students as well. So one of the ideas is to, give students activities in this book. If they are feeling stressed, there are like coloring pages and there are meditations, a whole bunch of activities that could be helpful for particular students. If anyone is interested in those, just let me know and I can get them to you. But I think more generally, what I'd like to talk about is how, is there anything that we could institute or suggest that's very small that could help increase mindfulness in academic advising sessions? So one idea would be to just give a very brief survey at the beginning of the session that students would fill out that asks, what would you like to get from the academic advising session? And then also, how are you feeling in this moment? And I think that that could really be a helpful way to get a sense of what the students' needs are. And there's been within the level 2 academic advising modules, there are amazing essays about developmental advising or helping students through a more relational approach that is mindful of the student's needs and is not as top down. And then there's also the prescriptive approach, of course, which is saying, here's what you need to do, or here's some suggestions for what you can do during your time. And I think that a mindfulness approach could be somewhere between the two. It could be one, it could be the other. And I think it's something to think about. What can we do to create an approach that's different for each student, but that takes into consideration what the students' needs are here in the present and also acknowledges what the advisor brings to the table. Where is the advisor in the present? So maybe a handout that gives a couple of questions to set the session up and get a sense, of the type of approach the student needs could be really good. Maybe there could be a moment of silence in the sessions. Like, what if you're not a mindfulness person? Is there any space, anything you feel like you could do to help make the environment more conducive to being effective, to making the student want to come back, to making the student's needs get met? So that's what this discussion is about. Any ideas that you might have, even if those ideas are like, no, I don't think mindfulness would work in an academic advising setting, and instead I think it should be this. You can think back to your statements that you've made about your advising philosophy. You can be like, no mindfulness, nope, this instead. Or you can be like, yeah, maybe like there is something that we could do in the session that would help to calm students down or to be aware of the anxiety that they have. Mindfulness practice, there's a common myth that you're trying to be less stressed through mindfulness, and that often happens, but really mindfulness is just becoming aware of whatever is going on for you, and then you can take it from there, and taking it from there is not the mindfulness, that's the action that you do next. So if you have thoughts about this, please write them in the discussion. I hope that we can get a fruitful discussion going because you guys are the experts, and I think that we can come up with a lot together. All right, thank you very much for listening to this, and also a huge thank you to Jason for letting me post it.